The topic for today's video is using self and peer evaluations or assessments in your classroom and with the help of technology. Before you start any new practice in your classroom, the first question you always have to consider is why. One of the driving forces we feel there is to answer that question on this topic is because the Ministry of Education quite simply tells us we need to do it. For all grades through 1 through 12, the document Growing Success, produced in 2010, says there are a number of areas where they would like us to do some peer assessment and some self-assessment. So that would be one driving reason why you might want to include this as part of your classroom practices. Within that document, peer assessment and self-assessment is mentioned in the learning skills and work habits under collaboration. And another place it's mentioned is in the document's description of assessment for learning and assessment as learning. It's actually mentioned in a couple of places, both within their policy, and peer and self-assessment are listed explicitly as part of the essential steps in assessment for learning and assessment as learning. Beyond that, thinking beyond where the Ministry of Education affects people, these are really great skills in life. Being able to give constructive criticism and, almost more importantly, being able to receive constructive criticism are things that I think a lot of people find they need on a really regular basis. Beyond the practical of what we need to do as teachers, beyond the practical of what students might need to be able to do the rest of life, there's an awful lot of evidence to suggest that self-assessment in particular helps lead to deeper learning. Why are we talking about it? Well, we're talking about it because we think there are a number of technologies that Crescent School has that will help make this an easier process for you, and because it has been the focus of the IBSC Action Research Project that David Grant, Carson, and myself have been working on this year. Our specific question was, how might a deliberate focus on reflection during a maker project deepen the learning of grade 9 boys? My experience with peer evaluation, and I'm sure a number of you have the same, is that it doesn't have to be a maker project. Definition for maker project can be a little bit loose anyhow, and it has been certainly useful for more than just grade 9 boys. But that is certainly one of the angles that we bring to this video. One of the most straightforward ways that we have found to be successful when doing a combination of peer and self-assessment has been a simple Google Doc. And we created this. You can create your own questions. Basically, what we do is we share this Google Doc with the boys. We've created boxes for them to type in their feedback, and we've created some prompts. This form is used in a small group in a verbal exchange of evaluations. So I think 3 or 4 boys, they're sitting around together and they're talking, they go through each other's projects and telling each other the pros, what they did well, the cons, what should be improved, new ideas. At the end of the group evaluation, the bottom box is where they type in how they feel about it. So it's one document that can encompass both peer assessment and self-assessment. A second Google tool that we have found very helpful in doing peer assessment and self-assessment or evaluation is a Google form. And Google Forms are fairly straightforward to produce. The one here I've got a snapshot of allows the students to choose the name of the student that they're evaluating. So this was class presentations. The example I've got here is just 2 questions that they would give a numeric response for. And then down in the bottom was an area for them to write their comments. The little red stars indicate that these were areas that the students had to fill out. Once the students have filled out the information, that data goes right into a Google Sheet, as you can see here. I've got the numeric data and I've got the comments here. One of the cool things you can also do with this data is you can provide instant feedback to the person being evaluated via email. This is a script that Carson and I can help set up for you. And basically, the person who is being evaluated gets an email as soon as each student finishes filling out the form. And you as the teacher can control what information they receive. So they don't have to see the name of the person who provided each and every evaluation. You will see it because it will come into the Google Sheet, but the receiving student doesn't. So it keeps some anonymity, and you can evaluate this for the honesty and the thoughtfulness of the comments, and you can also use the numbers as part of your grading. Haiku gives us 3 tools to use as part of peer and self-assessment. Actually, it's kind of 2 tools, one used in 2 different ways, and then a third tool that many of you may not have heard of yet, but here's a quick introduction. So the first tool that I think has 2 good uses is the discussion areas that you can set up under the Connect tab. What you're looking at here is a discussion area that I set up for my grade 9s in a small group of 3. So they are each uploading a document so that only these other people in their peer group see it. And then what they do once the document has been uploaded by one of their peers is they apply the RISE model of peer evaluations to give thoughtful comments. As the teacher, I can go in and give a rating out of 5, and I can also put comments in to tell them what I like or dislike about how they have commented on their peer work. So the students are thoughtful when they're sitting at a keyboard doing this, as opposed to verbal where it's more off the cuff. What I've also done is use the discussion areas for a one-on-one discussion between the student and myself. So this provides a great forum for self-assessment or self-evaluation, because whatever they type, I'm the only one that's going to see it. Haiku allows us to create groups in the discussion areas of any size. So this is how I've used the one-on-one. I provided some prompts and I asked the students just to make 1 or maybe 2-line thoughtful responses here. Again, I can give it a star rating. This was out of 2, so I gave them 2 stars, and then you can see down here that I've provided comments for them as well. The new things here for you might be using Google Docs for peer and self-evaluation, using a Google form for peer and self-assessment, evaluation, or using the tools within Haiku. Please don't hesitate to contact Carson or I if you have any questions on this. The boys really have enjoyed the peer evaluation process in our classes. We're trying to get them to warm up to the self-evaluation and self-assessment, but I know for me, these tools have certainly helped with the efficiencies, and we would certainly love to help you out with them. Hopefully you've gotten some good information from this, and again, as always, if you have any questions or if you have any other suggestions for videos, please don't hesitate to contact Carson or I. And as always, we hope you have a great day.